Hello everyone. In today's video, I thought I would cover the steps I took to service two locomotives that I purchased in the first lot of rolling stock when I decided to get back into the hobby. The first one is a New York Central switcher, and I'm not sure the brand name, but the second one is a CP GP40 from Bachmann. I took the shells off the two locomotives and I put both of them in my sink with some warm water and some mild dish soap because they were quite dirty. What you see here in the front is the New York switcher chassis, and in the background is the CP rail chassis. I did set up some test track before I took them apart, and they both ran, but they were really noisy and they really started to smell like electricity right away. So that's when I decided to do servicing on them. Before I completely disassembled the entire chassis, I took a bunch of photos just to make sure that I could remember how to put it together. Here you can see I just wanted to remember where the top clip goes. After I took the trucks off and the engine, I took one more photo just to make sure that I could remember how everything went together. As you can see, the chassis was quite dirty. In this photo of the engine itself, you can see that the engine mounts were broken and the commutator looks kind of dirty. You can also see at this point that I had the bushings and the springs and the clips out for cleaning. This is a close-up shot of the commutator after I cleaned all of the crud off of it. I reassembled the motor after I cleaned everything, and I tested it with a 9-volt battery, and it worked pretty well. So I decided to test it further by plugging it into my DC controller and adjusting the speed, and it was nice and smooth and nice and quiet. I was also hoping that there was enough of the motor mounts left to be able to go into the chassis once I reassembled everything, but I don't think it worked out in the end. The next two photos are just photos of the front and rear trucks before I completely took them apart. The rear truck assembly came apart without any issues. And again, I just took this photo so that I remembered how everything went back together after I had cleaned everything up, which is what I did next. I just used some mild isopropyl alcohol to clean everything. This is the front truck, and it didn't turn out as well. You can see the metal pickup has detached itself, which becomes an issue later on. Once I had thoroughly cleaned everything, I laid all the pieces out on a piece of paper towel just to make sure that I had everything that I needed, and I reassembled the entire locomotive. When I put it on the test track, I was afraid of that pickup being loose because it didn't work, even though the motor worked when I tested it independently. I put the switcher aside and started working on the CP rail GP40 from Bachmann, and the top, it was all metal. I took the top piece off, which held the motor in place, and the trucks were held with just simple axles. I also tested the motor in the GP40, which you see here, and it was noisy as well, so I took the springs and the bushings off and cleaned everything. Unfortunately, one of the springs lost its tension, and when I reassembled the entire thing, I couldn't get the spring to attach properly to complete the circuit. This is just a photo I took before I disassembled the motor, so that I could remind myself that that little spring has to go underneath that clip, and that it also needs to actually complete the circuit before it will work. In this photo, you see the spring after cleaning, and you can see that it's lost its tension and it won't attach. So there's no circuit completed there, so the motor doesn't work. But if I can find a spring, maybe I'll get the motor working again. With the motor removed, I took one more photo just to make sure that I had the worm gear in the correct position before I cleaned them, so that when I reassembled everything, I wasn't messing around. It's pretty obvious, but I always just want to make sure that I'm correct, so that I don't second guess myself. Being certain that the motor wasn't going to work, I figured that I might just take a measurement of it so that if I was at a train show I could find one similar, because I have to be realistic and think that it's going to be really hard to find a 50-year-old spring for a motor like this. So here they are, reassembled. The switcher has broken motor mounts and that loose pickup in the front. Maybe I'll be able to find one, I'm not sure, hopefully I will. But if not, I'll just leave it sitting on the rails somewhere as maybe a museum piece, or if I add a roundhouse, I can do that. Same thing with the CP GP40. It's reassembled. Everything, the gears and everything roll really nice. It's just the motor, and if I could find one to replace, that's great. If not, I'll just have it sitting on the layout like the other one. I put both locomotives back in their respective boxes that they came in when I bought them, and I made notes on each one about what was wrong in case I want to give them away to somebody in the future. Thanks for joining me. Feel free to comment below if you have any pointers, and hope you come back next time.